Bears fans, YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Bears Fans Talk, Season 2, Episode 4 or 5. I'm here with, as always, with the main event, Kevin Haggerty, Johnny CMD. Kevin, this week I want to talk about, this has always been something that I've been more interested in, personally, and I feel like I need a little bit of closure after the video that we did a couple of months ago.
Our best episode ever.
I think our best episode ever. I feel like that I really got into it. I dove into the weeds of what's going on with the situation when everyone was confused. I provided some clarity, and the internet has been pouring out their outreach of support, and they want to know more because right now the situation is confusing, and what I'm talking about is what are the Bears doing with their stadium? Where are the Chicago Bears going to go? And is it going to be Arlington Heights? And is it going to be the Lakeside in Chicago? Mm-hmm. So to kind of get people who might not be privy to the whole thing that's going on here, maybe just kind of been following it peripherally, as I think most people are. I think it was 2 years ago, the Bears paid $197 million to acquire the Arlington Heights racetrack. They promptly tore it down with the expectation that they were going to have a big stadium there, dome stadium, surrounding infrastructure, hotels, restaurants, basically a big production.
Mm-hmm. Casinos, bars.
Completely stalled out.
Yep.
And if you recall, the reason why is because the three area school districts and the Bears could not come to a conclusion on what the property should be taxed at.
Yeah, the real estate tax.
When the Bears bought it, they thought the property was worth $60 million, and the newsflash: if you buy a property for $197 million, it's not worth $60 million anymore.
It is not.
So the Bears, the school districts tried to tax them at a rate of $160 million. Mm-hmm. The Bears thought it should be $60 million. Mm-hmm. The two could not really come to an agreement. I think at one point the school districts countered with 125.
Yep.
But then in comes Kevin Warren after the fact. Mm-hmm. And basically,
remind us who Kevin Warren is again.
Kevin Warren is the president of football operations, right? CEO, president of football operations.
Came from Minnesota, and he got the stadium built in Minnesota, which is a beautiful stadium, by the way.
Yes. So
an established guy who knows what he's doing.
And he, from the jump, in one of his press conferences ending the season, talked about he thinks that Chicago is one of the finest cities in the world.
He's not lying.
He thinks, I completely agree, and he thinks that the Bears should explore options for potentially keeping the stadium here.
Yep. World-class amenities.
I had said while we were doing this that it made the most sense to me for the Bears to move to Arlington Heights. Yep. And I think you kind of agree, right?
So, I think my overall opinion on the topic is yes, they should move to Arlington Heights. It would be better for everyone to move to Arlington Heights. And then I go to the stadium, and then I'm in downtown, and I just get caught up in my emotions.
That's true.
And the nostalgia, and I'm like, just seeing the skyline, seeing the lake. I've been coming to the stadium since I was a kid. It's literally a spaceship in a bunch of, Coliseum, and with the pillars, with the neoclassic architecture. Mm-hmm. It honestly has a special place in my heart, and that's really it. But so the benefit of Arlington Heights to me is just to have your own space, your own ability, and making a total fan experience. Mm-hmm. For a fan base like we have in Chicago, it just makes too much sense to build something like what they have down for the Cowboys or what they have out in LA at SoFi. We are just too large of an organization to not have that.
Yeah, I think we need a better stadium than we have. Yep. I felt like Arlington Heights kind of gave us more flexibility for the Bears to do what they needed to do.
Well, only that, we talk about Final Four, combines, concerts, make it a year-round facility. You can actually, you put a dome on it, and now, if you look back at the episode, before we were still in tank for Caleb kind of mode, but now we're actually getting Caleb.
Yeah.
We could move away from this outdoor, heavy, defensive, and I hope we move to a speed, fast offense.
Yeah.
Like a Cowboys offense or a Rams offense, and play in these indoors and play like it's 2024, guys.
Yeah.
Throw the ball down the field, and it helps to be in a dome and to be in a situation in which the environment, there's no wind factors or weather factors.
So this is going to be a dome regardless of where it shows up. Kevin Warren has been clear that it's going to be a fixed, not like a retractable dome stadium. It's going to be a fixed dome.
I like the retractable roof concept.
Yeah. So I I guess I also kind of went into this assuming that the Bears would own the stadium if it went to Arlington Heights.
No.
I don't know. I guess I kind of assumed that because Arlington Heights doesn't have any money to put any equity into it.
So that's a great point as well. So, and this actually led into what I was wanting to talk about. Did you hear about what happened down in Kansas City?
No.
Okay. So the city of Kansas City they had a basically like a sales tax, vote tax to people of Kansas City, and it overwhelmingly got shot down by a margin of 58.1 to 41.1.
Was it to build a new stadium?
Hang on, let me tell you what it is. So 58% of people objected it.
Okay.
So what they were doing is they're taxing on a sales tax they've added on everything that is sold in Kansas City 3/8 of a penny, and that goes to the stadium to fund the stadium as public funding. Okay. And it got voted, so I guess it's through.
But to fund a new stadium or just to help support the stadium
renovations and stuff like that. Okay. And so we're coming off it, and the reason I'm telling you this, that 58% of people voted it down. We're coming off, like, the Kansas City Chiefs are the hottest team in the NFL right now. They just won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Yeah. And, like, the people of Kansas City do not believe in publicly funding these stadiums, and it's a very important concept and topic because these are multi-billionaires that are owning these football teams, and they go to these cities, they go to these towns, they go to the state, they go to the NFL, and they cry poor. But I need your money. But I need your funding.
But
I'll pay for it.
But doesn't Kansas City owns the stadium though? Right?
Kansas City does own the stadium.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I mean, like,
but why can't the billionaire own the stadium?
It's public infrastructure.
Isn't his name Hunt? Is his name like Kenneth Hunt or something bullshit like that?
Well, it doesn't matter. He doesn't own it, and this is
why can't he?
He probably could, but then it wouldn't benefit the state. Then it wouldn't benefit the city.
What do you mean? You put a sports franchise in there.
I would agree, yeah, but that's just like a product that the city is still profiting off of.
So, do you want to pay for if they put the Bears Stadium in Arlington Heights, or if they keep it in Chicago? You are a Chicago resident. You live in Edison Park, and they're coming. And the Chicago Bears, they come to you, the McCaskies. They're like, "Hey, guess what? We're not paying for this. Well, guess what? Your property taxes are going to go up by 10% to pay
10%.
I'm just saying to pay for the stadium. How do you feel about that?
So you got to crunch the numbers.
How would you feel about
I don't think it's ridiculous.
Okay, so you don't think it's because you're a Bears fan. What about Joe Schmo, who is down the street, who's a huge curling fan?
Okay, but
who doesn't give a damn? He's watching the Tour de France every year.
This is something that's it's a public building that provides revenue to the city.
How much does it cost to go into this to the stadium? How much does it cost to go to a Bears game every week? If you want to go to a Bears game,
$200.
$200. Yeah. That just gets you in the door. You want a hot dog?
But it's
$10. You want a beer? That's $20, Johnny. Little Jimmy over there wants a souvenir now. All of a sudden, you're out $1,000 just to go watch a 60-minute football game, and the Bears probably lose.
Kevin, save it for our socialism podcast that's got 40,000 subscribers.
You just next to our cooking podcast.
But here's the thing: is a stadium that makes money for the city probably should be paid for by the taxpayers. If this was something that the Bears owned, then no, I don't want to put public, because it doesn't make sense. Okay, so the just because they own the football team that plays there doesn't mean that they should pay for a stadium that they're not going to own.
So who reaps the benefits of jersey sales?
The Bears, but that doesn't have nothing to do with the stadium.
Well, they can't play without a stadium.
Anyway,
John, they can't play without a stadium. I firmly believe that stadiums should not be publicly funded. I don't think it should be. It shouldn't be a thing.
If you want to play hardball, you could probably get the billionaires to do it.
That's what's going on right now in Arlington Heights. They're playing hardball. Yeah. And I feel like what's going on is like Arlington Heights is like, no, you're paying X amount. And the Bears are like, no, we're going to build in Chicago. And all of a sudden they're like, wait.
Well, that's because the Bears were going to own that stadium. It sounds like the Bears were going to own that stadium. They owned the property.
I don't know.
They owned the property.
But if they get all this funding from Arlington Heights,
they're probably not. How much funding could Arlington Heights really give them?
I'm not sure.
That being said, Kevin Warren is at least preaching that this is going to provide jobs, it's going to provide revenue. It's a year-round stadium. I mean, the Bears aren't going to make any money off of the Final Four if it goes there. The Bears aren't going to make any money when Taylor Swift goes on Eras Tour Part 2. It's the city that's going to be making that kind of money.
Secondly, when she's pregnant with Travis's
exactly.
firstborn son, who will come in and become the quarterback and run the league.
Yeah, and they run dancing back up and stuff. Yeah.
I want to know. So are they going to own the stadium then?
They're not. No, so that brings us to what's actually going to happen.
Okay, tell me.
So Kevin Warren, they made it seem like it's kind of, some people make it seem like it's kind of in the air, but Kevin Warren has said we're moving forward. Our sole plan, our sole focus is the lakefront stadium.
Yes.
So the Bears are staying in Chicago. They are planning on building in the museum campus. Mm-hmm. It is not going to be owned by the Bears. This is going to be a publicly owned stadium.
Just like it is currently.
Yes.
Just like most stadiums are.
And the Bears are going to put $2 billion in private equity into building the stadium.
As they should.
Yeah. So, but that's not going to build the whole stadium.
No, I mean, I hope it's a $5 billion project.
So are you saying F off Kevin Warren and your $2 billion? You need to pay for the whole thing for the stadium that we are going to own.
Here's the thing: what if the Chicago Bears took a page out of the Green Bay's playbook, and they're like, "Hey, Chicago Bears faithful, you wanna invest in the new stadium? Fuck yeah! Give me a piece of ownership. Give me a fucking piece of paper that says I'm an owner of the Chicago Bears. So I'll send you $500.
Okay, so you won't take a 3/8 of a cent tax.
But it's not fair because everyone pays it.
But I think it benefits everybody.
So
I think things like this benefit.
But sales tax is across the board, right? I believe in sin tax is very hard. I believe you tax the alcohol, you tax the tobacco. I don't believe in a bag tax.
Sin tax?
You've never heard this before?
I haven't heard the phrase sin tax before. Yeah. I get it. Well, no, the Chicago tried to do it. Remember when we had
still taxed the bag, 7 cents a bag.
Remember when we tried to tax
the candy, the soda tax?
The soda tax.
Well, here's the thing though, and I'm not for it, but I'm also at the same time though, like when you live in a city like Chicago and a state like Illinois that's broke and crooked as can be, they need to levy taxes somehow. You're already taxing the crap out of alcohol. You're taxing the crap out of firearms. You're taxing the crap out of cigarettes. What else is there to tax?
Dude, how do we
Sugar.
Yeah, sure.
Tea. Coffee. I don't know, dog.
Okay.
Yeah, how did we get down this?
So you
got me a little aggressive.
Honestly, dude, I was not planning on being. This is not the podcast that I was. I was just planning to be like, okay, yeah, Kevin Warren and the Chicago Bears are going to give $2 billion to build a stadium that they are not going to own, and you were saying F off, pay the whole thing.
Pay the whole thing.
That's ridiculous to me.
Why don't they come?
That feels very socialist.
No, it feels capitalist.
It does not.
Why?
Because what capitalist would want to pay $5 billion for a stadium that they're not going to own?
John, the NFL is the king of the world right now. They can do no wrong. Valuations of franchises are going up exponentially. They are not coming down.
Yeah.
A $5 billion investment in a stadium.
This is the NFL. This is one organization within the NFL.
Which is arguably has the most loyalist fan bases of all time. They can lose 17 games a year and that stadium's still going to be packed.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're not seeing all the revenue from the ticket sales.
I
don't know how this works. I don't know what revenue goes where, but it sounds like it just makes sense to me that like I'm surprised that no NFL team owns their own stadium.
Because they're cry poor and they want the city funding. They want help from it.
I think that it's an incredibly reasonable thing to like I said, getting $2 billion. We're getting a sparkling new stadium, hopefully a lot of surrounding infrastructure, and that will bring in jobs. It'll bring in money. It'll
How much of the Bears do you think they're worth?
How much are the Bears worth?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just throw it out. Give me the number.
$6.3 billion.
Yeah, so it sounds like they don't have enough money to build their own stadium.
I think they do.
Yeah, what are they gonna? The mortgage their entire franchise's collateral.
No, they got to raise funding. They got to get funding for it. I'm telling you, come to the Bears fans. I will buy a piece of the stadium.
How many people are in the city of Chicago?
I don't know.
I think it's like 5 million.
Oh wow, I thought more than that.
I could be wrong.
I was thinking like 10 million.
Chicago.
Oh, you're looking up you don't know how Solar Eclipse works?
That was for the last podcast.
Oh, okay.
2.6 million.
That seems a little low.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say how many of these people do you think are willing? Let's say it's half. Let's say it's half are Bears fans.
Give me Greater Chicagoland area.
Greater Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
Greater Chicago population 10 million. Okay, let's say half are Bears fans. Let's say half are Bears fans and willing to donate to a new stadium.
Okay.
So we got $5 million.
Yeah.
$5 million divided by let's say it's
$2 billion.
Let's say it's it's going to be a $4 billion stadium. No, maybe let's say it's a $3 billion stadium.
So $1 billion.
Let's say
because they're throwing in 2, so you got to net it out.
Fine. $1 billion divided by
$5 million.
$5 million. $1 billion divided by $5 million. Probably should be writing this out. $200 from every single Bears fan in Greater Chicago area.
I said I'll give you $500. It doesn't seem that unreasonable, does it, John? Does it, John? Does it, John?
5 million people need to come together. No, it's ridiculous. This is a ridiculous premise. No, it's a ridiculous. Okay, this number looks good because I'm giving you half of the Chicagoland area is willing to donate to it. But at that point, that's a tax.
Even if it were half of that. Even if we're half of it.
You're talking about $400? You think a quarter of the Greater Chicagoland area has $400 of disposable income to just give to the stadium that they'll never see a penny back from? This is ridiculous.
I'd throw 5 on it.
That's called a tax, Kevin. Is when you ask a quarter of a population to give $400.
But you have the right to contribute or not contribute. And I'd want my piece of paper that says I'm a Chicago Bears owner.
You know what, Kevin? Pay me $400. I'll give you a piece of paper that says that you are the best.
All right,
you are the second best host of the Chicago Bears podcast in the Chicagoland area.
How about this? Have you heard
$400? I'll print it out for you. I'll frame it too.
All right, let me give you another sports analogy here. Have you heard of the 100-year bond at Ohio State?
No, I've not.
Okay, so let me tell you about this. So Ohio State was building a new stadium recently, I think maybe about 10 years ago. And so what they did was to help raise money, to raise funds, they offered something called a 100-year bond. Okay. So it was basically some bullshit thing. You buy it for, say, $1,000, and then you get, it's like really low interest rate, like 2%, and it matures in 100 years, and you get your $1,000 back, whatever the fuck. It's more of a novelty item than anything. Okay. Here's what happened. They did that, and you know the OSU faithful. They are fucking crazy individuals. They bought up all the 100-year bonds immediately. And then there became a secondary market for the 100-year bonds. People are like, oh, you paid $1,000.
You just want a piece of history, or do you want the... Yes. Okay, all right.
Yes, that's what you do for the Bears. I'm telling you, the Bears have the faithful that can do it. I promise you, if the Bears did a program like that, they would fucking do it. People were bought those $1,000 bonds like, no, I'll buy it for you for $1,500. No, I'll give you $2,000. Dude, I'm telling you, if you do something like that, Bears fans will eat that shit up, especially with all the hype we have right now. Caleb coming to town. Maybe we trade for Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm saying, John, right now, we talk about it all the time. It's the best time to be a Bears fan.
Leave in the comments down below if the Chicago Bears were like, hey, we'll give you a piece of paper for $400 if you would buy it.
It's a 100-year bond.
100-year bond.
I'm telling you, Johnny, it is an ingenious idea. Kevin Warren, hire me.
Wow. That's all I have to say about this, where this went. Anyway.
It's a good idea, John. You can't tell me it's not a bad idea.
I think it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
If they issue this, if they do something along these lines,
or you just make everyone in Chicago pay $6 over the next 50 years, and boom, you got a stadium that's making you hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
God, I'm just so fucking mad.
Wow.
Do you know how much money they?
This is crazy.
How much they got for the 100-year bonds?
How much did they get for the 100-year?
Ohio State.
The secondary market, or how much did Ohio State made? Okay, how much did they make?
$500 million.
$500 million back in
in 2011.
Oh, it was 2011.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking this is a long time.
No, I said 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Bro, that was 2011.
Okay.
Plus inflation, there's your $1 billion right there, John.
Sure.
Easy.
Okay. All right. So why do you think not every team is doing this?
Well, they don't have the fan base, first of all. They maybe don't have the creativity.
Okay.
No, seriously.
It's not creative. Just copy something ISU or OSU is doing.
I wouldn't say, but it's like you have to think outside the box. You have to be willing to. It's almost kind of like a risky proposition.
Sure.
Like it's we're going to offer this bond. What if they don't sell?
Okay.
Right? Because bond markets fluctuate up and down based upon supply and demand, like anything else in life, right? So, like, I mean, it's kind of like, so say if they did do this, right, and they had this 100-year bond, this century bond, and, like, no one fucking bought them.
Okay.
It'd be kind of embarrassing, right? I'm sure they do a road and pony show, make sure there's demand for it.
I'm guessing they probably, like, do some sort of secondary market research.
For sure. But I'm just saying, though, but, like, it could be good. It could, you want some creative ideas? This is my creative idea.
Okay. I don't think we need a creative idea. I think it's like the Chicago Bears want to put $2 billion into the market to build a stadium that the city then owns. You know, why don't they just put? I mean, it's like putting $2 billion to rebuild the metro. Like,
where it would be great infrastructure. It would be a great decision. Actually, I'd put the $2 billion.
It's the same.
I'd put
concept.
the $2 billion in the L. Honestly.
Exactly, it's the same concept. It's essentially Chicago Bears putting $2 billion into rebuilding.
You know what I would do with that $2 billion? I would create what I call the gray line. It would connect. No, it would connect the red line. And it would connect the red line from the north side to the south side. And it would go around the loop. So that way I can get from Lakeview to Logan Square.
Kevin.
These are ideas that I think about all the time.
Kevin, save it for our city planning podcast. That one's got 30,000 subscribers. Anyway.
So all the other, how many subscribers do we have?
Yeah, we have, so what are the other, we have the cooking channel that's got 30,000. What was the other one? Our socials and podcast has got 50,000. And then the city planning one's got 30,000. Meanwhile, Bears Fans Talk is still sitting at a strong 60. So like
61.
61. So please like and subscribe. I think this is about as good of a place to end as any. Please like and subscribe. What do you guys think about using private or using public money to fund these stadiums?
Would you buy a bond? Would you buy a
Would you buy a bond? Do you think it's fair that these teams who probably do have the money to build the stadiums themselves, should they be the ones footing all the bill? But this is I still stand by my point that this is something that the city and the public still technically own that provides revenue to the city and provides jobs to the city.
And I'm hearing you. You. But the owners are getting benefit from it more than anyone.
I think that if the Chicago tried to squeeze, then the Bears might just leave.
How about this? And they're going to. And they will. But here's the thing, though. Arlington Heights is going to squeeze, too. It's who's going to squeeze less. Who's going to break first. I don't know who's the leadership in Arlington Heights, but I'll tell you, Brandon Johnson, I don't think he gives a damn. I really don't think he cares that much about Chicago Bears football.
No, I completely disagree.
You think he cares?
I think that's with this resurgence. I think it's been Kevin Moore talking with Brandon Marshall, and then Brandon Johnson. We were just talking about Brandon Marshall in the last one. Brandon Johnson, and Brandon Johnson is also talking about potentially moving the White Sox to the South Loop. I think he wants to be the mayor who's like keeping these teams in the city.
I heard some BS that he wants the Bears and the White Sox to come with a joint proposal at the same time, to like the board or whatever, because he doesn't want to make them hear it twice.
I haven't heard anything about that.
That is bullshit.
That might be part 3. We'll see. All right.
This is going to be our most liked podcast.
We'll see.
We'll see. If you want to buy a bond, you tell me and I'll pitch it to Kevin.
Just please like this podcast because I don't know what the fuck happened here just now. So guys, like and subscribe. Peace.
What the fuck? You don't like where we went for that?
I don't know, man. We'll see.